Welcome to the deep dive. Things are really heating up between the U.S. and Canada when it comes to trade. If you've been following the news lately, the U.S. is getting ready to put a 25% tariff on things coming from both Mexico and Canada. And, the markets are definitely freaking out a little about it. I mean, when that news came out, the Dow Jones dropped almost 650 points. But you're probably thinking, okay, so what does this actually mean for me? Or whether you're in the U.S. or Canada, these tariffs could actually end up hitting your wallet pretty hard. And that's because, our economies are so connected. We're talking like prices going up on everyday stuff, things like gas and even groceries. Canada's the big supplier of fertilizer, and those tariffs, those are going to get passed down to us, the consumers. And even your 401k might not be safe. All the ups and downs in the market because of these trade wars could really eat away at your savings. And before we get too much deeper, if you like what you're hearing so far, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this one. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. The U.S. wants to put this 25% tariff on a whole bunch of stuff, and Canada is not happy about it. One person who is really speaking out is Chrystia Freeland. She's a big name in Canadian politics, actually. She's running for prime minister, and she's got a plan. She wants to hit back with some carefully chosen tariffs of her own, and she's aiming right for the heart of American business and tech. Tesla Freeland wants to put a 100% tariff on Tesla vehicles. Yeah, you heard that right, 100%. She's trying to put pressure on the White House by going after a company that has a lot of power and influence in the U.S. Her thinking is that Canada buys a lot of stuff from the U.S., so these tariffs are meant to send a clear message. This trade war is going to hurt both sides, but Freeland isn't stopping with Teslas. She's even talked about maybe canceling Canadian contracts with Elon Musk's Starlink. That's his satellite internet project. This shows just how serious Canada is about fighting back, and it means that this could affect way more than just cars. This whole thing, it's not just about money and, who owes who, what it's about something way bigger. It's about trust between country and how they do business together. And when you look at Freeland's background, it gets even more interesting. Before she got into politics, she was a journalist, but pretty well-known one, actually. She's spent a lot of time covering Russia and Ukraine, so she really gets what's going on in the world right now, and she's not afraid to say what she thinks about how Donald Trump is acting on the world stage. I mean, she's been really outspoken about Trump and his dealings with the Ukrainian President Zelensky. She even called those meetings in the Oval Office shameful and appalling. Yeah, she says that Trump's words sound a lot like the stuff the Kremlin says, and that makes people worry about where the U.S. really stands, in that whole region. But just to be clear, Freeland says straight up that Putin is a dictator and what he's doing in Ukraine is a crime. She says Zelensky is the real leader of Ukraine. He was elected fair and square, and she praises the Ukrainian people for standing up for their country and their freedom, pretty much all on their own. Freeland believes that the world, and especially Canada, owe a huge debt to the Ukrainians for defending democracy and, standing up for what's right. And here's the thing, it's not every day that you hear someone like Freeland, a top official from one country, telling people in another country to call their government. That's a pretty big deal. It shows you how worried people are about this whole trade war thing. She wants Americans to pick up the phone and call the White House, their congresspeople, senators, even their governors. She wants them to say, hey, we're worried about these tariffs and we need to find a better way to work with Canada. So this whole situation, it really makes you think, what role do we have as just regular people in all this trade policy stuff? It's easy to feel like, your voice doesn't really matter, especially when you're talking about big, complicated global issues. But when Freeland is saying, she wants Americans to speak up, it reminds us that we're not just, sitting on the sidelines. We can actually do something, whether calling our elected officials or just, talking to our friends and family about this stuff, or just, staying informed and really understanding what's going on. Each of us can play a part in, making trade fair and more balanced for everyone. So what can you actually do? Well, first you got to understand, how these tariffs could actually affect your life, your community, your, wallet. Talk about it with your friends and family. Stay informed about what's happening with this whole trade war thing. And, maybe even think about reaching out to your representatives and telling them what you think. Because at the end of the day, we all rely on each other. The countries and economies are so connected these days that working together and having good trade relationships, that's what's best for everyone. And just remember your voice, your opinion. It matters. It really does. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the U.S.-Canada trade tensions. We hope this has given you some, food for thought and maybe even inspired you to get involved. Before you go, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into, the stuff that really matters. We're always out there finding new angles and bring you the knowledge you need to make sense of this crazy world. So till next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.